How two first ladies weathered a most unusual presidential transition. Jill Biden wanted to keep teaching. Melania Trump just wanted to go home. In nearly every way, the two women are a study in contrast in their approach to the role of First Lady. The incoming First Lady was arguing with her husband about whether she could keep working as an English professor, bucking concerns that it would be too much for her to handle. The outgoing First Lady had taken to wearing terry cloth bathrobes during the day and sorting through an office aides referred to as her swag room, a locked room filled with keychains, crystal bookends, and other trinkets from her time at the White House. The winter of 2021 was a most unusual transition period for Jill Biden and Melania Trump, two First Ladies who have pushed the boundaries of a much scrutinized, frequently criticized, and often underestimated role in American politics. As Dr. Biden worked toward becoming the first woman to keep a career while First Lady, her predecessor, Melania Trump, was in Washington completing a similarly unorthodox, though drastically different, tenure. Over 4 years, Mrs. Trump showed how pretty much every aspect of being First Lady, which carries no salary and no formal job description, is optional. In nearly every way, the two women are a study in contrasts. Dr. Biden shaped the role in a way that allowed her to preserve her career and identity, while Mrs. Trump spent 4 years flouting many of the expectations about what a modern First Lady should be. In the process, they expanded the possibilities for the first spouses who follow them. This year, during what is already a combative presidential campaign, the two women, and their influence over their husbands, will again become a focus of enormous public interest. The third rail. For Dr. Biden, becoming First Lady was the honor of a lifetime. It just wasn't her day job. In the weeks after her husband won the presidency, Dr. Biden's path back to the classroom at Northern Virginia Community College, she'd taken a leave of absence to help her husband campaign, was rockier than publicly known. She had told reporters during the campaign that she planned to continue teaching. But behind the scenes, she was still working to quell her husband's concerns. "Baby," Mr. Biden said gently, using a pet name his wife dislikes, as they huddled with senior advisors during a campaign stop in Pennsylvania in October of 2020. He reminded her that there were still questions about whether she could earn a salary without violating ethics laws, according to two people with direct knowledge of the exchange. He wondered aloud if it wasn't all too much to take on. She listened patiently, though plans to return to the classroom were soon underway. Days later, Anthony Bernal, her most senior aide, reached out to campus advisors at the school. Why wellness culture has cozied up to leeches. The professor must teach. Mr. Bernal, a former child actor who has been close to Dr. Biden's side since the 2008 campaign, wrote in an email to Jimmy McClellan, a dean at the school, on October 30, 2020. But the matter was still not fully settled until weeks after Mr. Biden won the election. Michael LaRosa, her former press secretary, described it as a third-rail topic. The issue came to a head when the Bidens joined a call to prepare for a joint appearance on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, which aired on December 17, 2020. The incoming first couple was strategizing with a group of senior aides, including Ron Klain, a longtime advisor and Mr. Biden's first White House chief of staff, Anita Dunn, who managed communications for the campaign, and Mike Donilon, a senior advisor and a longtime Biden whisperer. On that call, according to several people involved, Dr. Biden was asked if she planned to teach full-time. Her answer was matter-of-fact, "Yep." At that point, the president-elect chimed in. "You are?" he asked, according to two people who heard the exchange. Mr. Biden wanted to know how many credits. "Only a handful, right?" She responded that she was teaching 15 credits. A full course load. Mr. Biden said that he was not aware that she'd be teaching so much. "Joe, I told you this," she said. Her response ended that slightly awkward, one aide remembers, portion of the call. By this point, Dr. Biden had already spent weeks learning how to ramp up for online teaching, necessary during the COVID era. "I took the training, but it is hard stuff," she emailed to a colleague on January 3, 2021. Officials at Northern Virginia Community College, working with White House lawyers, eventually arranged for her to be paid out of a nonprofit fundraising account affiliated with the school. By Inauguration Day, it was clear she was going to keep her day job. "Of course, people around me said, no, you can never do it," Dr. Biden recalled, reflecting on the process in a later interview. "And I said, I'm going to do it. So figure it out." Something bad happened. On January 6, 2021, Donald J. Trump wanted to stay in the White House. but his wife just wanted to go home. For months, Mrs. Trump had taken to walking around the executive residence in hotel-style terry cloth robes. Throughout her husband's presidency, she often perched on the bed in his room to listen to or join in on his calls with advisors and allies. Stephanie Grisham, Mrs. Trump's former press secretary, said in an interview. Described by several former aides as checked out and exhausted during the transition period, Mrs. Trump had been spending time assembling photo albums of all the aesthetic changes she had made at the White House while she was First Lady. All she cared about was those photo albums, Ms. Grisham said, using an expletive to describe the albums. Mrs. Trump had also had directed aides to set up her post-White House office at the family home in Palm Beach, Florida, and was focused on helping her son, Barron, adjust to the transition.